This is the DJI Mavic 4 Pro, the much anticipated drone we've all been waiting for, except I haven't, but here we are. So this is going to be the complete user manual. We're going to talk about the whole setup, we're going to look at the aircraft, all the sensors, the lights, the build, and then we're going to take it out and do a test flight and go through all its capabilities. We'll look at the RC2, the RC2 Pro, but first let's talk about the why. Well, with the Mavic 3 Pro, I wasn't very keen on it because on each sensor it had a different colour profile. You couldn't have D-Log on every sensor. So in post-production, you're battling that the whole time. So that just seemed crazy to me. And that was one of the main things that really put me off, as well as the quality of the telephoto lenses weren't that fantastic. So I wasn't sold on the idea. So I wasn't really anticipating this to be a massive upgrade. And the Air 3S is a fantastic drone and covers a lot of that same sort of mid-range purpose. When they brought this out, they've now got matching colour profiles all the way through, so you can have D-Log and D-Log-M on every sensor, so we're using every lens. So for me, that is absolutely fantastic. Everything's had an upgrade, the lenses all have had an upgrade, and you know, now that medium telephoto is awesome, and you will see that later when we get it outside, and it is definitely better than the medium telephoto on the Air 3S. The telephoto lens is good, but it's not 100% there for me, but I don't think it's really a lens I'm going to use that much anyway, because you're about 500 meters away from something and you can peek through a window. It's like incredibly powerful at 168mm. So on that basis, when I saw this, I'm that tempted, and I think really it's a perfect drone for corporate videos and that kind of thing. I think it's ideal for that, ideal for creative productions. You know, I think it's the best thing on the market for that, without having to go out and buy an Inspire 3 and pay that sort of money. They haven't got the ProRes on it, but I think with the all-one on that, I think we're going to see that crossing over into the professional sphere anyway. So I think they kind of got it covered in that way. So on that basis, I shelled out the bucks. Now, let's have a look at this drone. Well, we've got the LED lights, of course, on each corner, and they all do something in different sequences at different times, and I'll go into that possibly in another video. But when I was reading up on it, it's quite interesting what they're actually telling you, and it is worth knowing what they do. So that's the LED lights, and then we've got the sensors. Now there's the LiDAR, I'm sure you've heard about, and that's only at the front here, which really is its eyes in the dark. So it will stop it crashing into things in virtual pitch black, whether it's humans, trees. They reckon up to about, I think it's 1 centimetre, it's like your finger. But you need to remember it's only forwards, not sideways and not backwards. So you can back into something and you will trash your drone in the dark. Now we've got the other sensors all over this drone. They're on each corner, and we have 3 on top now, and they're sort of raised up and bulge out a little more like the Air 3S. And so you've got a complete 360 coverage and some with this. And then of course on the bottom here as well, there's another 3. We've got the LED auxiliary light there, which is super bright, super powerful, which I use a lot. So well, I generally use it all the time, because you can identifying, spot your drone so much faster and easier. If it's slightly moved in the sunlight and you're not sure where it is and you've got that LED on, it's really helpful. And then you've got this 3D infrared sensors here at the bottom as well. So that's very clever. And then of course we've got the little hatch just here at the back, and you've got the micro SD card in there and your charge port there, of course. And the batteries, like all the drones, you just pinch and pull out the side. The thing I quite like about this is it doesn't matter what order you put these arms away, you can open and close them in any order, which is like yay, because they vary on different drones, and it's like which one do I do first? And then with the rear right hand one, that's set to start the drone as soon as you open it. You can set it to power off the drone as well when you close it, but you need to actually do that in the controller, so we can look at that later, for that to power off the whole drone. And it's interesting, when you do power on, the gimbal does a sort of a 360 spin and resets itself. It's quite interesting. And on the ventral here, the hood will clip into here, so we can just look at that now. Another thing to note, the size of these props are huge, and you'd think they'd make more noise, but actually they make far less noise. It's kind of quieter than the Air 3S. It's kind of a deeper, softer tone, so it's I think a lot less obtrusive. So we'll just get the gimbal protector. And what they've done this time is it not only protects the gimbal, but wraps up the props all in one, which is quite nice. And this just goes over, so this will cover the rear sensors and the two props there, and then this will clip over this guard just here at the back. It'll cover the LEDs at the front. One thing I have noticed with this is when you put it down, whether it's closed or open, it kind of rests on the bottom of the propellers there, on the bottom of the props there. So I think you'd want to be careful of that, because if you were on rough terrain or rocks or something like that, that's going to get scratched up or possibly even damaged. So and the belly of it sits really low as well. So I now always carry a soft mat, and so I always put my products, my tech gear, my drones down on that when I'm out and about. So just a thing to note. Otherwise, I would say this is really tough kit. It's really strong, really well made. Very impressive. So we've just got ourselves set up here with the Mavic 4 Pro. I'm just going to put it down on the mat and just talk about a couple of the adjustments for these flights I'm going to make on the controller, and then we'll go through all the different flight modes up in the air. Now, one of the most obvious things is I'm using the RC2, and the reason is when it's in the air, I can just close this flip screen without touching the pegs. So if I'm moving my kit around or cycling on my bicycle, the drone can still be in the air, and I'm not going to move or knock those pegs around. So for traveling around and doing this kind of thing, that's why I like this particular controller for this type of work. Now, a thing you'll notice straight away on the screen is noticeably we've got the portrait mode button here on the right hand side. So if you just click that, we flip into portrait mode, and then we can click that again and we can come out of that. Now, if I just go into the top right hand buttons, we go over to safety. So a couple of things to note here. You can choose, if I scroll down, so when you unfold the arm, whether you want it to power on or not, which I've got that on, and to fold, when you fold the arms, it will power off as well, and I've got that switched on, but you have to manually do that yourself in the controller here. Otherwise, everything else there I've left the same. And with the controls, the only thing I've changed in here is if we go to button customization, and I've changed the right dial, which is this one, which is normally set to the zoom. I've got that set to the roll on the gimbal, so I haven't got to go C1 roll, which is what the preset would be. That's particularly because I like the C1 set as my cruise control, so I don't want to that to be affected where I've got to press the C1 and roll and then it's not doing the roll, so I can just scroll that wheel. I've changed the zoom there, so you do hold the C1 and the scroll wheel, but I'm not a fan of the zoom functions anyway. I've got the 3 different lenses on this drone, so I'll just go to a different lens, and I can always do a cropping in post-production because it's just a digital zoom. We'll go through the different functions of the photography, the video, and using the portrait and roll feature on this drone, and then we'll also look at the waypoint and tracking features. Let's just get ourselves up in the air. So as you can see, we're in the wide angle lens here, and that gives us a lovely view of the lake and the cathedral there. Just going to center that there, and we're just going to quickly look at the different lenses here. So this is the medium telephoto. Just punch that in there, and you can see the crop from there, the 70mm, and then we'll go to the telephoto and look at the detail there and how close that is. Amazing. So what we can do, just a little test while we're keeping it in auto and we're in photo mode, so we'll just take a photo of that, and then we'll do the medium telephoto. Now if you're in auto mode, it will do the image enhancing, and it does take a few seconds to be able to do that. We'll just go to the wide angle, take that. So now we can do a little comparison there. Also what we can do is put it into Pro mode, which is into the manual function, and of course if you click the icon at the bottom right hand side, you can see your ISO, shutter and your aperture setting there. Of course, one of the beauties here is we've got the variable aperture. Down to f2, up to f11. So then you can decide whether you want a softer background or a very crisp throughout the whole image. So to give you an idea of how that would work, I'm just going to go back on auto mode, and I'll show you how we can use this for portrait. So the medium telephoto and the telephoto lens, those are fixed lenses. So you're naturally going to be, this is at I think 2.8 if I remember correctly, and this is naturally going to give me a softer background. And as you can see, the background here has got a nice softness to it, that telephoto lens. And what do you think? I know it's quite a crisp image, but I've noticed in my previous tests the quality wasn't quite as good. Wasn't quite as good as the 2.8 zoom. So let's just take a shot of that. Okay, and And then you'll notice if we're in auto here, that's giving us F7, and you'll notice the background is much crisper. But of course, because we can dial in our own settings, we can then reduce the ISO to get the exposure we want, and that's just not using ND filters. And in the video mode, you can see we've got 1080, 4K, 4K 916, C4K and 6K. Now you'll notice at 6K on this version we've just got 60 frames a second as our slowest we can go, and that's 4K portrait by just cropping, 1080, 60 frames a second. So let's just go to our video functions now. We've got normal, we have explore and slow motion. Now with slow motion, that now enables us to do 4K at 120 frames a second, as you can see there. Okay, so if we look, we can just scroll down, we see we've got master shots and quick shots. So let's have a quick look at our master shots. As you can see, it's highlighted us as subject, and we can just click start and just let it do a series of shots like the quick shots. It'll do a series all automatically. Then you can just clip out the little bits that you like from that. And then just looking, we've got the quick shots. Now, what you'll notice in here is we've got this new feature, the rotate.
1.
Okay, so if you want to feel dizzy and like you're on a roller coaster, I've changed the rotate of the gimbal to the wheel on the right hand side here. That is normally the zoom. So as I fly forward, and it'll affect like that. So I think that's quite a nice way of using it. And then we've got the other functions here, the droney, rocket, circle, helix, boomerang, asteroid, similar to other drones. We'll cover that also in another tutorial. And then of course we've got hyperlapse here, and we've got free mode, circle mode, course lock, and waypoint. And again, that will be another individual tutorial. And then PANO mode. So we've got the different camera functions here. Just pointing at the lake so we can get a nice view. Put our start point in, hit the C1 button. End position, hit the C1 again. And press start. and that will just process the image. Sphere, 180-degree, wide angle and vertical. So next we'll just look at the features on the left hand side. We've got the obvious return to home and update home point there, so we can quite quickly go to that if you want to update our home point, and our land or return to home. So if we just look on the left hand side, if we just go now up, you see the waypoint symbol. Again, we'll do a detailed tutorial on this, but you've got waypoints, your point of interest, and at a first glance it looks similar to other drones like the Air 3S, etc. And then we'll just look at the tracking modes. So now what we'll do is we'll just hit the little dot with a square around it, and that will enable focus tracking, and you see straight away it's looking for things it can track. So now when we hit active track, it'll bring up our little wheel there, and it'll allow us to set where we want it to track people from. So as you can see, it's set from behind, so it's just going to track that person from behind, and we'll put it in front, so it's going to move around. And just be in front. And it always has this lovely auto mode as well, so we'll just come back to how that works as well. And again, if you want to choose them, hit the C1 button, and you can see it's locked on that. Just recognised a person. Let's track that person there. And you can see as he walks around with his dog that the drone's just tracking his movements. Spotlight's one of my favourite modes because now when I fly the drone around, it'll keep that chap just in the centre there. It's still trying to analyse where it thinks he is, and I've gone around a flipping big tree and it's picked him up again. So interestingly, with the drones like the Air 3S, you need to be about 20 metres away for a lot of these functions, where I'm being like 75 metres away and it's finding people. Let's see, what's suggesting that one. Let's go C1. It's spotted them. Let's do a point of interest, so I can just push to one side, start recording, and it's just going to move round that person in that direction. Right, let's turn the tracking on, and as you can see, it's picking up all those birds. So we can choose one. And there's tracking the little ducky. Let's look for cars over the car park then. Right, okay, so I like the way it likes to try and highlight something specific. Oh wow, look, it's picked up something way over there. Let's see if we can grab that. Look at that. It's so far away. Okay, great. So of course you can see we can expand the screen here, move it around and shrink it. See exactly where we are. And we can locate our different spots by using that. We can see which way is north, satellite layer. I think that would be interesting to see. You can set whether it's spotting other other airplanes in the sky or not, and you know the level of risk to that, and it will tell you the warning zones there. So we can bring that back. We can bring up our north-south wheel, and then we can bring up our sensors. So you can look out the side sensors. These are the vision obstacle avoidance cameras, so they're low quality. This is a lot better than I've seen on my other drones. To see the propellers moving around there, but nevertheless, if you're in tight proximity to things and you want to maneuver, but you want to see all around you before you maneuver, this is really super helpful. I wanted to use the RC2 Pro to record this part of the video, but realised now it didn't work because I hadn't got this particular feature turned on. So I'm just in the DJI HYPERLAPSE store in Shepherd's Bush, and we've just been talking to the guys about the RC2 Pro, and we're looking at the differences from the RC2, and notably, obviously you've got this nice big screen that's beautifully sharp, clear, and the resolution on it is amazing. As you can see here, that gives beautiful resolution, and the notable thing is, of course, this nice flip screen here which turns the camera around. That seems to work really nicely. A little bit of movement in there, but I think it seems very stable, well made, strong structure. The thing I was concerned about before is when you close it, and you wouldn't be able to still fly the drone if you wanted it to track yourself, and this was like beside you, under your arm or something. But I've been told you can, you've got a on-off button just on the top here, so although you wouldn't be able to use the sticks, which is preferable when you just want it tracking like cycling your bicycle, you can close that down and get it to do that. So I'm quite pleased to find that out. The other thing you notice here, of course, it's different, is the HDMI out here, and of course the beauty of that is then we can get a video signal into another device, so we could transmit a laptop or something like that. So that's the thing that I want to work out and try, so we can stream into something like Zoom and be a conversation with the customer. So we want to try that out on the Matrice 4T as well, so the customer could be in their off-site and we'd still be communicating with them. So that's a really cool feature there. And then of course, one of the differences is we've got these two buttons here. Now this button will just take us around these icons here to change the settings on the camera. So as you can see at the bottom, we've got the ISO, and we can scroll that around. And then if I just click down with that button, we then go to the shutter, and it will go around all the different settings. And then I just scroll around the wheel, and that will just change that. Press it again, it goes to the aperture. So change the f-stop there, and then round to the exposure compensator there, and then back again. So that's just basically how you'll use that. So when you're flying quite quickly, be in pro mode, you change your settings very quickly there. And this button here, just here, if you push to the left when this is in flight, will change the focus tracking, or activate the focus track. If you push up, zoom in, down, pull back out, and then if you go to the right, we'll go to the photo album, and then we can just jog around to look at the different imagery we've already taken to check what we've recorded or photographed. Then there is, this is the back button there, so just click that and go back. Otherwise, most of the settings are exactly the same. C1, C2 button at the back, same same dials here and the buttons there. If we go into the settings here, you can see under safety, everything looks pretty similar. Control, camera. Because this is the creator combo, we've got the all AI, the all eye function at the top here, which we don't have in the RC2. Again, everything looks quite similar. Transmission on the about. And if you flick up, as you can see here, you've got a dashboard where you've got different apps along the bottom here. So you can put in third-party apps. Go to the internet and look at your gallery, things like that, and then back into your fly out. So the home screen, again, everything looks similar to normal. Profile, everything looks as you would normally have it. Settings. And then, of course, we've got the virtual flight mode on this as well, which you don't have on the RC2. So if I put them side by side, of course I've got a cover on this one, but if I just close this down, you can see the thickness. It's a tiny bit thicker, but because I've got this case that covers the dials here, it makes mine as thick. Let's say not much difference there. So that pretty much covers the RC2 Pro. Well, I hope you found all that information useful, and let me know in the comments if you've got any other questions, things you want to find out, or things you want me to test on the Mavic 4 Pro. Of course, there's a link in the description if you want to purchase this drone. To watch more videos on the Mavic 4 Pro, there's a playlist over here. Please show me the love and join the channel by clicking the link up here, and I look forward to seeing you over there.